Today's episode is sponsored by Billy Keel's Advisory Services. If you want to learn more about how to make your 99 optional, just go to makeitoptional.com. Once again, that's makeitoptional.com.
Helping you build freedom without losing your edge. This is the Going Long podcast with Billy Keels.
I absolutely love this podcast. You know why? Because when I'm here, I get a chance to speak to some of the most interesting, outgoing, impactful people from all around the globe. And today is no different. Absolutely no different. You know why? Because listen to today's guest. Today's guest actually began his life journey in this wonderful country known as Italy, which place that I've lived myself. And you know what? Not only that, he allowed himself to follow different professional as well as personal opportunities across 3 different countries, all while he was developing and mastering skills as well as relationships, specifically in this one enterprise software company as an executive himself. You know, and he did this for almost 2 decades. And if you're watching the video version, you won't even believe that this guy could have been anywhere for almost 2 decades of professional experience already, because he's such a young looking guy. But today, you know what he's done? He's taken all of that experience and he's now bottled it up to be able to help others to live out their dreams. And it gives me great pleasure to welcome to today's conversation, not only the founder, but the owner of SeaTuscany, Mr. Federico Falchi. Federico, welcome to the show, man.
Hi, Billy. How you doing?
I'm doing well, man. Oh, man, it makes me so...
Thank you for inviting me to the podcast. I'm really excited to share a bit of my experiences and to have this conversation with you.
Yeah, man, it is. It's a great pleasure. And I appreciate that. I know you're extremely busy and you're doing so many different things that you have carved out some time to talk to me, to share more, and also for the Going Long family to get a chance to know more about your story. It's really inspiring. And I really love what you're doing. So thanks for that. And you know what? One of the things that I always attempt to do is talk a little bit about you. But right off of the very first question, I would love for you to share, Federico, is to share your story. Share it in your own words. I mean, I've kind of talked about some things in the highlights, but I would really love for you, as you're telling us your story, to helping us to understand what you've done to get to this point in your journey. But maybe if you could highlight a couple of the major important decisions that you've made to get to this point, and then we'll see where you and I take the conversation from there.
Yeah, you mentioned a very key word is taking decision. You know, sometimes we go with our lives. It's what has been designed for us to be, what the expectation of our parents, the expectation of the society, where you are at the moment, your colleagues, and where you are, the money you get from your job. Yeah. And sometimes we don't listen enough to what we like. And we try to do things we like in just the small time that we have free from our normal lives. And so in the 24 hours, not every day we are able to find even 10 minutes to do what we really like. So when it comes to take decisions, I think this is the most important thing that we should be able to do, is where we are not happy anymore with what we do. We should be able to take the decision to try to start something else. It doesn't have to be like a big disruptive decision, like now I leave everybody, I leave my family, I leave my job, and I leave everything. But trying to start something that you like and maybe give some more time to this. And this is a bit what I did. I mean, I spent 25 years in the IT, 20 years in corporate. You know how it is to work for a corporate. I was also in sales. We crossed our path here and there in Spain a couple of times. And you know how it is. You have no time to do that until I decided that, okay, where am I running? Because we were running. And where am I running? Why am I running like this, faster and faster and faster, and numbers? And yeah, it's money. It's money for sure. Yeah. It's having a nice house. It's having the best vacations. But for how long during your year? During 365 days? How many days can you have? So I decided that for me was not enough anymore.
Mm.
And I started thinking, what do I like? What do I like best? What do I like to do? And I love the sea, and I love boats, and I love learning new stuff. And so at some point I said, okay, I'm going to try and get a license to drive a boat. And so I did. While I was still working for a corporate, maybe it took like 6 months. Normally it wouldn't take like maybe 1 month. It took 6 months. And it was at night, and it was Sundays. I still have pictures of me Sunday, like, studying and doing stuff. And it was learning. And it was fantastic. So at some point, I got the license, and then I decided, thanks to the corporate, of course, to buy a boat. Yeah. And so I bought the boat. And then for the next 2 years, I did some experience on the boat because I had none. And then after that, you're building things, not like overnight. And then you take your time, and then you spend a bit more time, and then a bit more time. And then maybe at some point you can take a decision because now you have an alternative. And this is more or less what I did.
So, there's a lot of different things that I want to unpack, that I would like to unpack, but there's something that I just want to highlight because you mentioned it a couple of times. You talked about being able to take the nice vacations, to be able to purchase a boat. And you were very clear in saying that this was thanks to the corporate, right? And so because this is one of the things that I just fundamentally, I believe that you're in line with this as well. But can you just talk to us about, just really quickly, like the things that corporate was able to provide with you? Does that have you with a positive experience of your overall corporate experience, or how does that?
Great.
Yeah.
A great experience for me. The corporate job allowed me, first of all, to travel.
Yeah.
To travel different countries, to live in Spain. I've lived in Barcelona, as you know. I lived in Madrid, which I loved. I lived in the UK, London. And all was because of I had the opportunity to join a global company. And global companies are asking a lot, of course. We work a lot, but give back a lot. So the salaries are very good. And I had the opportunity to work for one of the biggest. Yeah. And so, but for me, at some point, before it was like, I want more in the corporate life. So I want to have a bigger career and to be a manager and to get more money, and then more money, and then more money, and then more money. Yeah. And at some point I said, okay, but maybe I can do something now with the money and with the status that I acquired through the years. So if I didn't have the opportunity to work for a corporate, I wouldn't be here now. Would have been able to take the decision that I took. So for me, it was the most important thing for having this opportunity, for sure.
Yeah. And I really love hearing that, because I mean, you and I are very similar that way. Like corporate was really great to me. I was great to corporate. At least that's my feeling. And so I had very good, positive thoughts. And, I was able to travel around the world and meet people from all over the world, and not only travel abroad, but to be able to live abroad. And a lot of those things started because of the corporate experience. Federico, you've also mentioned something as well, because you talked about you moved up, you wanted to move up in corporate, and then there became a certain moment that you decided, well, maybe I don't want to move up anymore in corporate. I want to do something else. Can you talk about that? Because sometimes people say that that's like a negative thing. I don't believe that, but I'm just curious what your thought process was when you decided that maybe moving up the ladder wasn't really what you wanted to do anymore, but it was to do something else. Could you talk us through that?
Yeah, this was of course related to my personal life. It's when you decide what you want from your life at a certain point. So at 30 years old, I just wanted to go up. 40, I wanted to maximize more the salary, maybe, and then become maybe a manager. But becoming a manager comes with people management, and then what it comes with that is It's more, burden on your shoulder and less time for yourself, less time for your family, less time to do what you like. So for me, it was like growing up and being around 45 years old, I have to say, is really, why am I pushing to have more in the corporate life, which is the goal. I need to have a goal to understand why I'm doing this, because I'm sacrificing a lot. And for me, the motivation was the time. So the more I was growing in the corporate life, the less I had time. And this, at some point, the scale was like this, and I was like, no, I don't want to go there. And I was watching colleagues and people that for me were like my professional heroes, and their lives around 50, 52, 53, and I didn't want that kind of life. And you maybe can relate that all those lives are more or less the same, and I didn't like it. And I said, I don't want to go there.
Yeah, it's a powerful visual that you show, right? And so anybody, once again, that if you're not watching us on the video, you should check out the visual, because as Federico's explaining, the time where it wasn't as important, you having control of your time as much in the past, the more experienced or age numbers you reach, time becomes much more important in your ability to control time. It takes me back to, actually, I remember being in a meeting in Madrid during my corporate days, and talking to my boss and trying to get time in my boss's calendar and speaking to his assistant, and his assistant couldn't find time. And then we were trying to make time with my boss and my boss's boss, because we were going to meet with the C-level at another. And it was the craziest thing. And I thought, I don't want to live like this. We couldn't even find a 30-minute slot between two people. It was, but it does come back to time. So I feel like that's something that's really, really important. When you think about some of the different skill sets that you were able to start and really begin to master in corporate life, that maybe you weren't thinking about it when you decided to go and start your own company, your own business. What are some of those skills that you weren't paying attention to, that you had them, but they're actually really helping you today, and those transferable skills?
This is a good question. It's normally what we tend to do is try to leverage the skills that we know. So for me, it's like, for sure, empathy. I've been in sales, and so the more the thing of being connected with people, being able to talk to people, being able to explain these kind of things. Maybe in the new job, which is not continuous, because it's seasonal. You have to be able to program in a very different way. So for me, before, it was like being consistent with customers, and you have quarter by quarter by quarter by quarter. And so it's like continuous. It's never stopping. Really. 1st of January, it's a new year. And you say, but I was pushing hard for the last 3 months. And then, but it's the new year. With this job, you have to program a bit, to schedule things and to program a bit more. So you have to start a lot in advance, something that maybe then you will see happening in 6 months, 7 months, 8 months. So this is a bit, for me, a complete new skill that I didn't have before. I was not used to, I have to say. And now it's a thing.
And it is great when you start to realize it's, nowadays, as I'm working with clients, recognizing, what are the core skills that help to make you successful during your corporate career, and how many of those skills can you actually use today? Because most of us go from excelling at a really high level, just like you did during your corporate life, and then you're moving into a new space, because it's very different outside of the corporate walls than it is inside. And so as much of the skills that you already have that you can lean into is great, because there's so many other skills that you're going to have to acquire along the way, which which I think is great. So one of the other things that you've also talked about, you mentioned this a couple of times, money focused, like you were focused on money as you went up the corporate ladder. Even after you stopped moving up the corporate ladder, I understood, and please correct me if I'm wrong, that you were still focused on how you could make more money. I grew up in a household where I watched both of my parents work two different jobs. So I always thought money solved all problems. Later on, life would teach me that that's not the case. But I wonder how much of the way that you grew up was one of the main reasons that you focused on continuing to either move up the corporate ladder and or looking to earn more money constantly.
No, I would say that not the way of being grown up, because my parents were working class. We didn't miss anything in our life. We had everything, but a very simple level. For sure, not boat owners. Yeah. For sure, not. Believe me. Used cars, vacations at my grandparents, like many people in the 80s, used to do in the working class. So not really. I think it's more the society where we grew up more than the family. My family didn't push for me to do anything. Okay. I have to say, not for money for sure, but for being happy. But the society, yes. The society in the 90s and the 2000s, I was, showing success, being people that shouldn't fail, and we felt this pressure, and also I always say climb the social ladder. So we were like, the society was saying to us that you have to push because you have to be better than your parents, but not your parents. Your parents are not saying that you have to be better than them, never. But the society, yes, you can be more, and you can do more. You can have a nice house, a nicer house, a nicer, it's the bit how it is the Occidental life and what they tell you. So it's more the society, I think, than the family.
Yeah, and do you feel like you wore that as a badge of honor because you were doing better, or when you went home you could show that you were doing better? Okay,
of course, it's like a way to say, I did it. Yeah. I did it, but then you realize that maybe, you did it one side, but maybe you're missing a lot of other things that maybe are more valuable. Yeah. Or maybe not. I'm not saying that what I chose is the right thing to do, because it comes with issues, of course, because it changes, your life changes, of course. But it was my driver for sure.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I appreciate you sharing that with us. It's also one of the things that I wanted to. You talked about as you continue to recognize that there were opportunities, but then you also mentioned this relationship, and I talked about it as well earlier with time. Talk to me about, just because it seems that you didn't have enough time to do the things that you wanted to be able to do while you were in corporate. And I want to dive into this because it's something that I'm just generally curious about, because I think about a lot of the time that I was in corporate, and how much of the issue of time is something that is self-generated because we want to overachieve, versus how much the organization is actually saying you have to work this many hours.
Billy, you know the answer to this, I'm sure. As of course, corporates are like high demanding, and there are different kind of careers that you can have in a corporate. You don't have to be an high performer. You can be not a low performer, not maybe, but an average performer, and survive. Yeah. And survive. Yeah. It happens. It happens every time, but it depends on what you want to do. Yeah. So I was not an high performer all the time, but I was seeking opportunities to try to be. Yeah. So maybe it didn't happen sometimes. I have to admit this. It was not like I was the best performer, no. Yeah. But I was seeking opportunities to grow more, to have more visibility, to jump into the newest thing that no one wanted to do. Yeah. So because for me, it was also, progressing in the career. But of course, when you are like proposing yourself and when you are high visibility, maybe person, and then you know how it is. It comes with less time, and it comes in Italy with meetings at 8:00 p.m. or starting 8:00 a.m. And then maybe on Sunday night preparing something because you have a meeting with the customer at 8:30 Monday in the morning. So it comes with less time. It's nothing bad. I mean, you choose to do that. Otherwise, you can choose another thing. When you choose that, you know with what it comes. So I don't regret it.
And I love that, because it is one of the things, and it's also one of the reasons I love working with high achievers, is because it's a choice. Like it's even hard for you to say average, because you never aspired to be average. That's also one of the reasons that I have asked you here, is because those that want to achieve highly do things differently and act differently. And as a result, there are also different pressures that many times you put on yourself because you want to be in the right position and want to have the greatest opportunity. And there were roles in corporate life that I really wanted to get, and I didn't get them, even though I did all the things that I thought I needed to do. But sometimes it just doesn't happen. So, I want to take this like kind of corporate experience, and I also want to start to translate a little bit and even more into what it is you're doing today at SeaTuscany. And I think it's really important because you talked about empathy, and I think about the fact that you gave yourself the opportunity to live in different countries, not just travel, like live in different countries. And that is a really big difference between, and you and I can relate to this, traveling abroad and living abroad. It's very different. Talk to us about what that means to you, having had the opportunity to live in different countries, and also how that's helped you with the own empathy that you've talked about.
Well, this is actually what changed in my life more than corporate life. The fact that my parents, talking again about them, they grew me like, they don't speak English, they never travel, and they sent me to the UK in a college to study English the first time I was 12 in the summer for 3 weeks, like many others. And for me, that was like mind blowing, because I've never been abroad before. Of course, I was 12. But then I was like 1 month alone. And I didn't speak a great English when I was 12, of course. And from there, I never stopped, I have to say. Living abroad was a big step for me when I was 28 then. I've always traveled, but as you said, it's a bit different. I had the job in Rome. I had a full-time job and permanent. I was buying a house. I was together with my ex-wife. So my life at 27, more or less, was like into those places where you say, okay, it's safe, it's working. I studied, I have a job, I have a relationship, I'm buying a house. And then at some point I decided that there was not enough, that I was not happy enough. And I decided to move to Barcelona. And it's when I entered the corporate life. I was not that young. I was 28.
That's super young,
but
That's
not
super young.
that young. Yes, but not that young,
Yeah.
As the first experience. And then, I lived 3 years in Barcelona and then back to Rome to progress in the corporate life. And then I had another opportunity in Spain, in Madrid, again to progress in the corporate life. And then I had another opportunity in London, and then back to Rome again. And it was great. It was great because you work, first of all, you work in different languages, which is the way that you really learn. Traveling, yes, you learn, but it's not the same, of course. And then you know how other cultures understand work. I have to say that I was very surprised on how people in Madrid work compared to people in Rome and compared to people in London. It's totally different approach. I don't, maybe it's cultural, maybe it is, but it's totally a different approach. And you learn a lot about people, because then it's a mirror of how people are. and what is acceptable for them, what is not. Things that we do normally in Italy are not accepted in the UK, are not accepted in Spain, and vice versa. Also, so you learn a lot, and what you learn a lot is about customers, because at the end of the day, if you're having any business, you will need customers, and then understand who your customers are culturally. Now I'm like, I started a business that is related to travels, to traveling and hospitality, or something like this. You have to understand who is your customer culturally and what you can offer to them. And living abroad really gave me the opportunity to learn this more of anything else.
And I love that. So let's keep on that path, right? Because you had this opportunity and you've decided to follow your dream. You've not only traveled abroad, you've lived abroad. It's given you a perspective. It's allowed you to really learn the psychology behind people from different cultures, and it's helped you with that empathy. You also have a sales and a leadership background. And so talk to us about how you then have taken this and you've poured this into SeaTuscany and the person that you are serving today as clients, and really the type of service that you offer.
Yeah. This is funny because it started in the idea, which is a very simple idea. I mean, it's not a genius idea to in Italy to start an hospitality and holiday business, But I was in the UK. I was in London. We were having a dinner with people from the UK, and I said to them that I just bought a boat, and they were asking where do you have it? Near Rome, and I said no, in Tuscany, and some of them were like surprised and asked me, is there any sea in Tuscany? because, and then I said, yeah, of course, it's quite a big coast. It's like 400 kilometers coast, so it's quite big. Yeah. And they told me, yeah, but normally it seems that we don't know geography, but if you think about it, when you have this idea about Tuscany, that is hills, wineries, Chianti it's called here in the UK. And Siena and Firenze, and so you have art, and you have nature, and you have wine. Tuscany is very, very difficult that you associate Tuscany to the sea, and that's also why then I decided to call the company SeaTuscany, because you can have both. So the place where I am, my father actually is from. It's a small village, a small medieval village called Gavorrano. It's 10 kilometers from the Gulf of Follonica, and it's right in front of Isola d'Elba. So a few people know that there are 6 islands in Tuscany. They're beautiful. Isola del Giglio, Giannutri, Isola d'Elba, Pianosa, Capraia, and all small islands, and it's beautiful. It's really beautiful. They are in the south of Tuscany, and where I have my boat is 10 kilometers from my village, and it's a beautiful place. And still, you have all the things that you have in Tuscany that you normally go to Tuscany for. You have green hills, you have wineries, wonderful wineries, and you have great restaurants, from 2 Michelin star restaurants very near to my village, to family-run trattorias. Is where you can find more the vibes of rural Tuscany. And 5 minutes far away, you have a wonderful sea. So I try to keep all these things together and try to build some offering that could still be recognized by people from the UK. This was my first market that I want to cover, because I was really surprised, when I talked to these people. So this is a bit of the story of how it started.
So I love that SeaTuscany starts over a conversation in the UK. I love it. And what I find really inspiring, as we talk about this, Federico, is that it's so many different life experiences that you have, coming back to what we talked about in the beginning, that you've taken or made the decision to continue to move towards something, right? And whether that was while you were in corporate, it's up the ladder until you decided there was an imbalance between your time and that you owned and that you felt was owned by somebody else, to even being able to create something from a dinner conversation. So there's a lot that's inspiring there. I guess just before I asked the last question, did you ever have any risk of failure or thought in your mind that this wouldn't work? And if so, kind of what was that big risk that you thought? Okay.
Continuously, yes, of course. Because, this started, so I started this after a couple of years of experience, of course, because to be a captain on a boat, and there are some safety rules and things. And when I host people on the boat, of course, they have to be safe, first of all. Yeah. So for me, it was 2 years of really learning. Yeah. So being on the boat, learning, and feel safe myself, first of all, and then, of course, for the people coming. Yeah. And then it's like failure is because on the boat you can have problems. So I started the business as a boat charter, of course, because it was easier in the beginning. And then the boat can fail, you can have a problem, but maybe you are in August and you have a problem in August, and then the boat is stuck for 1 month or for 2 weeks or 3 weeks. So you have to cancel the bookings and so on. So it's an high risk, let's say with just one boat, it's an high risk business. That's why then after the first year, I said, maybe this can be a bit broader than just the boat. And so maybe if you cannot go on the boat, but you can have other kind of activities that you can do. You can do tide trekking, you can do mountain bikes, you can do orienteering, you can have another visit to a winery, for example. And then, yes, it depends a lot on the years. It depends on the weather. So all things that you cannot control a lot. So in the beginning, yes, but having some background with money coming from the corporate life allow you, of course, to do an investment. And maybe for the first 2 or 3 years, you're not getting big money out of it, but you can then decide where you're going, what is working, what is not working. So yeah, failure is there, but yeah, we had a lot of failure in our corporate lives. Yeah. A lot. I had a lot.
Yeah. You and I both. Yeah. more losses than failure than victories. Yeah. More losses than victories, but that's okay. That's part of it. So I appreciate that. I appreciate that perspective. And I do want you to share with us a bit, or I want you to share with us how we can find out more about SeaTuscany here in just a second. But I do have one last question for you. And this is just something that, as I've gone into this new phase of the podcast, and it's something that I have recognized, and I think it's important to share, not just because I know that the Going Long family, we learn a lot from just seeing you and understanding more about your journey. And we also learn so much about when things don't go right. And so I learned this lesson in 2023 because I always thought everything went well and all this kind of stuff. But what I really came out and I learned myself was when things are going really, really well, Federico, we kind of just go through it and we don't really think about it because things are going well. But when things get really, really tough, and sometimes it feels like we're sitting at the bottom, like we're just having a really hard time, it seems like you're at the bottom forever. It feels that way. But there's no difference, because when you're up at high, you're just not paying attention because it feels so good. But when you're at the bottom, it's also just another moment. Like these are just moments in time. And so I don't want you to talk about the moments that when you're on the top, but maybe, especially because you're now in this new version of life in terms of, starting your company. But I'm sure you've also had some challenges along the way. Yeah. But I want you to think about yourself 3 years from now, right? And you and I both know that you and I are both going to go through really good moments and we're going to go through tough moments. But I want you to leave yourself a message. Like, what is the one message that you want to leave yourself, that when you know that you're in a low moment or a challenging time, that you're going to need to say this message to yourself and hear you say it to yourself so that you can continue on? What is that one message you want to leave yourself?
Yes, but it's pretty clear to me. It's focus on what you like, what makes you happy,
Mm.
because there is, for sure, there is something that makes you happy in life that you can focus on when things are not great. It might be a person, it might be a travel, it can be an activity, a sport, whatever it is, something that gives you a purpose. So for me
Oh,
it was that thing. It was like, what do you like, how do you see you want to be in some time, and what how do you want to feel, not being for the sake of being someone, but how do you want to feel.
mm,
And I want to feel like this, that I have time for me, that I have time to dedicate to the people that I love, that I'm free to decide what to do this morning or tomorrow night without having any other pressure.
mm,
Um, and then, of course, do something as a work that I like.
yeah, yeah.
So for me, it's focusing, absolutely focusing on what you love, what you want to do.
I love that. So focusing on what you love, what you want to do, and what makes you happy. So, these conversations, Federico, they, like, for me on this side of the microphone, they just literally fly by. I think from the very beginning, when you talk about as you're going through life and you're really focusing on the expectations, and not just your expectations, but many times the expectations of others, and you're going through these like 24 hours, which seem like 10 minutes because you're constantly doing things, and you have to get to a point. And as you started out from the very beginning, it is about the decisions and the decisions that you've made in your life, and you daring to try something new. And whether that was going from Rome and having life settled and having the car and the wife and the house, and then saying, hey, look, I want to go and live in another country, not just travel, but live somewhere, another life experience. And so you made that decision and made it to move back, and then made it to move to a different city in Spain, and then went to the UK, but constantly making decisions. And always, while you're in the corporate life, as you talked about, feeling like you were running and running and running until that moment that happens for you that you talked about. Well, it wasn't about just continuing to do everything to move up the corporate ladder anymore. It was about saying, what can you do to actually own and control more of the time that you have? And then you have the opportunity, thanks to corporate life, to say, hey, you know what? I really want to follow my dream now. And I want to do something, because I had a wonderful conversation with people at a dinner in the UK about starting my own business. And that business being SeaTuscany, which took you back to the roots of something that your parents did for you when you were 12 years old, which was actually to send you to the UK.
Yeah.
They set you up for a conversation that was actually going to be able to bring you back home. And so today you've taken all these different life experiences. You've taken this empathy. You've taken this ability to understand other people because you've been in their shoes. And now you're saying, listen, SeaTuscany is where you want to put your heart. It's where you want to put your time, your effort, and your energy so that you can help other people live out their dream vacation and their dream moments in time. And so I know that everybody here wants to understand exactly how in the world, Federico, because they're going, Billy, just ask him the question. And the question is, how can the Going Long family find out more about you? How can we be in touch? How can we support you? And how can we learn more about not just SeaTuscany, but also the different initiatives and businesses you're up to?
Yeah, so there is a website, which is SeaTuscany.com. There is an Instagram page, which again is C_Tuscany. I'm Federico Falchi. You also find me on LinkedIn with this name. I'm now I'm here in the UK, and I'm renewing a bit the page with more activities that is possible to do. For now, what is on the website is like daily charter, and I also organize some team building activities. So for companies also, not only for private people. What it's possible, of course, is to organize like a suit vacation of 2 or 3 days, an escape, maybe with no kids or whatever you want to do in my beautiful my beautiful land. You can travel to Pisa easily from the UK or wherever you are. You can travel to Rome, and it's like 1 hour 40 minutes. I can come and pick you up. There are also these services. So whatever you want to get in contact with me, just send me an email or a message. Don't stick just what you see in the website, because we can organize whatever you feel like better for your vacations in Tuscany.
Fantastic. Well, Federico, listen, one thing that I do want to say to the Going Long family, because I say it anytime anyone says LinkedIn, when you reach out to Federico because you are inspired by his story and or you are going to be visiting him and having this wonderful Tuscan getaway, make sure that you let Federico know that you've already listened, you've invested time here on the Going Long podcast, because it's going to make the connection between the two of you even that much better. And he's already going to know that you've invested time to know how he can exactly help you. And if you're on their website, do the same thing. So it's just a great way to connect. Federico was talking about empathy. It's another great way for you to connect. And I absolutely love the Tuscan region of Italy as well. So, and who knows, you and I will probably see one another up there. So,
wait for you.
All right, cool. Listen, Federico, like I say, man, it's just, I really, really appreciate that you decided to invest some time with me, with the Going Long family. From the bottom of my heart, I do want to say thank you very, very much. Really appreciate it.
I have to thank you for the invitation. It was really fun. It was really fun and a pleasure to see you. And talk very, very soon. And hopefully see you on board in Tuscany soon, mate.
All right, sounds good. And Going Long family, thank you very much. Have a great day, and we'll see you soon. Ciao.